All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So I was busy yesterday and I wasn't able to make a video, but sincerely, if I made a video yesterday, I actually would have been really bullish. I would have. I'm going to show you some stuff that I was saying in the Discord, but I'm marking this as I was wrong because of what I know I would have said if I did a video yesterday, right? Again, I love emphasizing when I'm wrong and why instead of bragging about being right. So this is a real good example of it, right? Now we definitely took advantage of this sector and the NASDAQ pop, right? There was definitely some, I think this is gonna do well, and then lo and behold, it actually did, right? When you look at this one, QBTS as well. We were ready for this, right? We were ready for QUBT. Even IONQ actually had a little bit of a pop as well. That one right there, right? So the eyes were there and the thoughts were there and it did hit, right? And really we were looking for and trying to take advantage of what was falling so far from the 8, hopefully getting to it, and actually really what I was expecting. And the biggest reason of why I am chaptering this that I was wrong is, oh man, I thought we were going to go there. I really thought yesterday we were going to go there. Lo and behold, we're right here, right? So an interesting and you can see the wick. When I've said interesting, I feel like 17 times by now, right? So this was an odd one, right? So yeah, easy to talk about the good that happened in the last couple days, but oh, I was expecting more. Why was I expecting more? And again, I'll give you my thoughts later, but what I tried to do, I've now done it for the last couple times, is I will come to the Discord and just, live as I'm listening to Powell speak, I type things in, you know what I mean? And my favorite moment was roughly halfway. It's basically from 2:30, right? I'm on the West Coast, so it's 11:30 my time. It's from 2:30 to 2:30 to 3 Eastern, right? So 11:30 to 12 my time. Roughly in the middle, right around the 45-minute mark, he says the cost to wait are very low, and it's actually helping us to react as needed. So waiting is okay because there's very little like consequences in his eyes, and there's actually way more benefits because it helps us react if needed. To me, that was a good message. To me, I thought the market was going to hear it, like it, and take off, right? I wasn't expecting all of them to regain, but I was, and I literally said it. Where's inverse? Here it is. I'm really hoping to stop looking at inverse tickers for about a week if the technicals say so. Oh man, let's go back to NASDAQ real quick. And again, I'll give you more thoughts, but it almost said so. The wick was literally pushing just a hair away from 18K, right? Lo and behold, we come down here. So tough, 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 tough. One more time. I don't think anything's quite horrible necessarily. I think there's still some chance for a little bit of a rebound, but it's really all going to reflect on NASDAQ, right? So we'll look at the moving averages. We lost here, or we didn't break here, or came back to. That's kind of the working theme between these. And then I'll try to add a couple more. I know I didn't cover QSI on the last quant video. I know that did well since that last video, and I think QMCO is another one. QCMO. I'm so dyslexic with these letters, but yeah, we'll see what we cover. I'll highlight a little bit more of the markets, and then as I always say, if you disagree, if you have any other thoughts, throw them in the comments, right? So cool. Before we do go any further and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Hey, look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I'm so grateful for it, all right? So like I've been doing, I think I'm going to keep these all on a single chapter because really, it's the same thoughts basically echoed across these, right? So I'll at least highlight a little bit of a good because hey, some, you know, you got to look at some good, right? But yeah, I'm definitely not going to pretend these days that we saw, right? It's a little bit louder on the other ones, but QUBT, we're starting to get into the double digits. QBTS, a bigger double digit, right? And then I think IONQ is around 9%. Yeah, 9%, right? So basically within a 9% to just under 20% move. More than anything, though, what I'm seeing is either a rejection of a line or basically just coming back down to a line, right? So this isn't a moving average. You know, I always say I prefer the moving averages more than my little simple human clicks. But yeah, when you're over all five, the goal is to make some good, you know, lines, you know, simple clicks, like I just said. And hey, this one was another rejection, right? So this one's back to the 8 moving average. You just saw IONQ was at a moving average. RGTI, ooh, that's a bad pudgy finger right there. This one fails that and is basically down to the 8 and the 20 cluster, right? So each of them failed a line and is now back at a critical moving average, right? So to me, it puts a lot of pressure on tomorrow, right? Tomorrow really needs to bounce back for each of these, right? So for this one, I would love to say, give me back to the golden line. That's roughly the 50%, but the bare minimum is 940. We have to regain 940 tomorrow. The real number I want is actually pretty much regain all of this day, right? I got to get back into the 970 range, right? 966 is actually where the 8MA is, so 968, right? 970 really is the number, right? Get me right back over the 8 and the 20. Get me at least in between the 8 and the 20, because as you see on today's candle, we're actually below both right now, right? So either this is going to come back to like 935, 940, or we are heading down to 833 and basically putting a lot more pressure on that line, right? It's been a good line. We've been able to bounce and hold pretty well. The 100 moving average is a strong line. It's hard to break up and it's hard to lose down, right? But oh man, we can't lose that because that's tough down there, right? When we look at QBTS, so again, I always say these 5 computer generated lines are way better than me, right? I'm not even clicking for perfection. I'm here for good enough, but again, good enough is really, really good, especially as your good enough gets better or you're a little more meticulous than I am and actually like go to the penny, right? But yeah, you can see it. We actually never candle even over that line. We wick it a couple times, but yeah, we got over all 5. In a lot of ways, we just went away from the 8 and back to the 8, right? So the next question is, can we regain? Oh, that's basically where we're at. Look, I actually would really like 944. I think that's the better number, but I think we can start with 890. All right, that's actually not that far from where we closed today, but I think if we can regain 890, sorry, I clicked too high. 890 is what I would basically call 50% of here, maybe 9 on the dot, right? Let's call that step 1. Step 2 would be 945. If it could break 945, I could see it going back up to 1125. Really quick, there was a comment on the last video. So I was saying that QBTS is actually starting to look like the number 2 in the sector. I was saying not that long ago that IONQ was number 2. Someone actually said, hey, I actually think QBTS is number 1. It is actually the number 1. It should be replacing Rigotti when I make these videos, and that one should be coming first. In a lot of ways, I think today's volume very much agrees with that. I think a lot of ways the moving average setup agrees with that, right? Rigotti's not even over all 5, right? It's actually really close to the golden line, which is pretty funny, right? But moving averages definitely matter more when you're still under them, right? So Rigotti's not over all 5, and Rigotti got 64 million shares today. D-Wave, QBTS, and again, this thing made almost an identical run to Rigotti, right? It starts a little later, right? But you can see the slopes are pretty much the same. I think that's important to call out as well. But again, if you remembered, this is over 100 million shares higher. That one was only at 60 something. This is 170 something, right? So bigger, significant volume difference. And again, This is over all five. This has actually been over all five for a bit. This even gave us a real good confirmation candle over all five that gapped up and held, right? If NASDAQ didn't end up coming down the way it did, if NASDAQ actually made the move that, again, I was so wrong on, and I really thought it was going to hit, oh man, I think QBTS would actually still be running right now. So in a lot of ways, I feel like the chart agrees. But more than anything, number one, I wanted to highlight it because I promised that I was. Number two, let me know if other people think about what they think about that, right? I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but the Quant conference for sure has happened now. So I saw a video on my personal Facebook of Jensen with some like Star Wars looking robot little dude. It like sounded like R2D2 with the beeps and the stuff, and like, I'm not the biggest Star Wars guy, but like it looked cool. I'll be real honest with you. I don't know if the hardcore Star Wars people liked it or hated it, but honestly, I'm not a big Star Wars dude, and it was really cool to me. So if you haven't seen the video, check it out. But I know the conference has happened, and in a lot of ways, that might be what's bringing these down as well. I think I'm focusing a little more on NASDAQ. I actually think if NASDAQ did well, the insignificance of the conference would have been overshadowed, but this is also what buy the rumor, sell the news looks like, right? People were excited that Jensen was about to speak at some quant specific conference, right? They're not going to invite the dude to be the head speaker if he's about to bash it, right? So I think a lot of people assumed he was going to say some really good things. I don't even know if he did or didn't, right? But clearly it wasn't enough. And then again, like I said, my bigger focus and my bigger blame, for lack of words, was NASDAQ was supposed to get over the 8 and go to the 20. Instead, NASDAQ closes up here yesterday and then gaps down to open below the 8. I'm glad it got back over at least. Hey, I'll take it. This is also the first back-to-back day it's over it, right? So in some ways, the hope that we go to the 20 is still there, but that was a bigger distance up. This was a slightly nicer distance that I would have really loved. The longer we take, like this thing's coming down tomorrow, right? Like I don't know the slope of it, but like that's about the same slope right there, right? And the longer it takes, the quicker this one's exponentially coming down as this one's just kind of staying flat, right? So there's more disappointment to me here than I think expectations of the Quant conference. All right, so with that, let's just go through the. Okay, wait, did I say what I needed? I did. It was 9:45. Hopefully, we'll go to 11. Look, we cannot. I'll probably use that as the line. We wicked it today too. We cannot lose 850. All right. I think as you get closer, and yeah, that's the lowest I would go, and that's probably the lowest the wick went today. If this loses 830, I would say we've lost the 8, and you can see it. The 20's all the way down there at 6 something, right? So don't lose 830. Oh, I would at least love to not lose 850 and save a couple gray hairs and sweats. You know what I mean? So let's now come into IONQ, and oh man, yeah, IONQ again. I thought that there was more, right? I thought that we would get over this 20 and go to here, right? It's definitely something I mentioned. I know I always say that this was the first target, and I did emphasize that, but yeah, I can't stress enough. I really, really can't. I'll flash it one more time. I thought NASDAQ was gonna go right here on the 14th or 17th. I for sure thought it was gonna go again on the 19th and today, right? And when you look on IONQ, we were setting up right there, that 14th and 17th. If it hit like I was expecting, that would have filled. If yesterday, and you can see the nice little doji that was there yesterday, it was ready to see what it was NASDAQ was gonna do. Powell had just spoken. It was ready to go, and again, clearly it didn't, right? So easy for me to say I was wrong on my expectations today. Look, this 20 line is pretty much it. It's 20.05 if you're looking at the box, right? We cannot lose 20 bucks. If we lose $20, this will be below all the moving averages. And I mean, that's basically the next spot at 16. And yeah, and maybe even 16 is too high. It actually might not even, it might be 1575. And then if we lose that, it's a fall to 10. You know, there's so much green, green, green that could be a devastating red, red, red. I'm sure the weekly would easily, yeah, you can see it. The weekly has from 19 to 15 to 12, roughly speaking. Those were the numbers I just said right here, right? So, oh man, yeah, we can't lose that 20 buck range. That would be real tough. 1925, 1930 looks like the number right there, because that's basically 15%, 50% of that candle right there. So, oh man, IONQ is looking the toughest, right? And unfortunately, we couldn't get over it. If this thing can get over 24, 23.90. I remember 24 was the target for not that long ago. Now it's the one we must get back over that line, right? So, and then a couple more because I wanted to add a few more. QUBT, again, pretty much the same thing as we're looking at Regati, right? This got to the 50, this tried to escape them all and hopefully go there. With Regati, this thing got to the 50, it was trying to escape them all and go. QUBT just couldn't do it, right? There are definitely more moving averages that can hold it than IONQ we just saw, right? So I can easily say I like this one more than IONQ, but you know, it's kind of the same pattern that we're seeing, right? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to zoom out right there. We really, really need to get over 813. And really, unfortunately, 813 and the 50% of this candle is pretty much where these two moving averages are, right? So I need 870. That's basically my minimum requirement here, right? I can even see this thing falling after hours. Whoa. Do I got to look at after hours on all of these? What is... That's not that significant there. IONQ, where are you at? You're holding. I can see the blue one there. QBTS, you're pretty much holding. It's not that significant a difference. Wow, what happened with QUBT? I don't know if there was news or something, but that's a bad fall down. We're already, again, you know, I'm here generally ignoring after hours, but that's a loud one right there, right? And clearly it is significantly different than the rest of the sector, right? So let me know if there's news. Now, for all I know, earnings is happening right now. They're saying it might be around this date right here, which is sometime end of the month. For all I know, the system's wrong and it's 11 days earlier than they were expecting. So um let me know your thoughts. Let me know. Oh, no, 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 no. QSI. Let's take a look at QSI. Yeah, look at that, right? There was one good pop. There was one good moment where, again, I thought on this 14th and on the 17th, the exact same thing I was saying across this whole thing, right? That was the first moment where I was wrong. I thought 14th, 17th, let's go. Nope, instead we gap down and drop. I thought this day was good. Next day, let's go. Nope, we gap down. We at least held a little bit, but nope, right? And that's pretty much what QSI looks like, right? The attempt was there. If NASDAQ went, this would have too. Unfortunately, it hasn't, and lo and behold, where we're at, oh man, bad things will happen if we lose 130. If this loses 130, we're just gonna oof. Man, if this loses 130, we actually might be dropping to a buck. So be careful with QSI, especially seeing, right, volume pops and now it's starting to drop and might start looking like this a little bit more again, right? Yeah, QSI is very, very worrisome actually. QMCO, yep, this is another one. Same thing. This one looks exactly like RGTI, right? This thing got to the 50, tried to escape them all, clearly can't. Looks like the next place is going to be 1350. I really, really need this to get over 21 before I would ever consider it, right? So let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. Even if you disagree, oh, I appreciate you so, so much.